Yesterday, VisiPop gave us the long-anticipated new episode of Helluva Boss. And my opinion on it? Meh. Now, before the video starts, I just want to say I am not one of those people who just hate VisiPop and anything she makes for absolutely no reason. This video was kind of out of the blue. I was not planning to actually even do a review of this episode. I just wanted to kind of give my feedback, some criticisms, so hopefully she probably won't even see this, but if she does, hey, that's good, because that means, you know, take my criticisms into consideration and hopefully improve upon the show for the better. Now, when I say the show or the episode was meh, I don't mean it was bad. Definitely, I don't think there is a bad episode of Helluva Boss. But this episode, just after it ended, it just felt like, okay, that happened. And I think it makes it easier if I just say it. The only thing I had an issue with the episode was the storytelling. The storytelling and just a little bit of dialogue. Everything else was fine. The music was fine. The animation was fine. Fight scenes were good as always. But I just think the story could have used another rewrite. And my main reason for this is that it doesn't feel like there's enough at stake for Stolas. I mean, yes, he's getting injured and there's a possible chance of death, and I know they're teasing it, but always throughout the entire episode, I knew they were going to kill him. I mean, they weren't going to kill him. No. Throughout the entire episode, I knew they were going to rescue him. Because there wasn't build up to it. I feel like this episode could have done better, or at least it would have been, Stolas' capture would have been more intense if it had like a two-parter. Where the first parter kind of deals with all of the stuff of Stella and her brother planning to wrest power from Stolas when he's dead. Because then you feel like at that point Stolas actually does have everything to lose. But here he has nothing to lose, and his dialogue in the episode kind of feels that, where he really doesn't take most of it seriously, and he tries to play it off as cocky. Not a huge issue, though, if I'm being honest, but it just, for me, it just felt like nothing was at stake for the Stolas at all during the episode, and it especially pretty much died off when Stella gave the phone call to Stryker to call off killing him. Kind of took away from anything that was kind of built up for that, which there really wasn't. Like I said, in that respect, this episode could have done great with a rewrite or just a episode before it, building up to the fact that if Stolas dies here, he has everything to lose. And I felt like that maybe could have improved the episode a bit. Now, other than that, what other things do I have issue-wise with this episode? Most of this, other than that, might sound a little bit nitpicky, but it didn't seem that funny compared to other episodes. I mean, yeah, there were some funny moments, and the part where Stolas is getting stabbed in the leg, and his first remark is,
"Blitz handles me rougher than that in bed."
that made me laugh. That was funny. And there was one point where, I don't know who did the music for this episode, but there's one point where you can hear the goofy car horn in the music. Whoever did that deserves a medal. Seriously, that was perfect. But other than that, I don't feel like there was really many jokes. Yes, the comic large syringe part with Luna was pretty funny, but it wasn't that funny. Other than that, I think that's just nitpicking, but just another critique there. What else? I felt like at the beginning of the episode, the dialogue was a bit, it wasn't very smooth, but this is also nitpicking, because I feel like after like a couple of scenes, the dialogue kind of found itself in the story. But that's just my plain opinion. But like I said, I'm not a hater of Helluva Boss. I love this show. And for me, this was the first episode I got to be part of the hype train for. And I still enjoyed watching it. I don't say you should skip it. You should still watch it. Enjoy this episode. But this is just my simple critique. And I feel like what Vizzy could do to fix this episode, if she was going to do it, is to it could have been made a two-parter. Like I said, build up that suspense that if Stolas dies, he loses everything. But this episode, it just didn't feel like he would have lost anything. And he was the main character that was built up throughout season 1 and part of season 2 here. And if he died there, it just would have felt like, really, you killed him here? It wasn't built up to possibly him going to die. It wasn't built up at all to anything that was exciting or suspenseful. It was pretty simply, he was going to get rescued at the end of the episode. I'm pretty sure everyone knew it. So just like I said, maybe a little bit more of a two-parter where the first episode can be that suspense that gets all the information of if Stolas dies, he's losing everything. And then the second part could be that suspense of Stryker torturing him and all that boiling down. Now, what I think, this is just a fan idea, and I know Vizzy probably already has a story in production already for the next couple of parts, but I would say for what this episode could bring on to the future, I'm just going to take a guess here and say that Octavia is probably going to come back into the mix. Because there's one scene of dialogue between Stella and her brother, where he points out that if Stella kills Stolas, then everything that he owns is going to Octavia. All his responsibilities, all his power, all of his items, all of it goes to Octavia. So I feel like there's going to be an episode, or at least I would have done an episode down the line, probably not the next episode, probably a couple episodes down from this, where Octavia is going to become the center of attention and become the next target for the deceit or the targets or whatever of Stella and her brother's mad plan. Because honestly, now that this is set up where it's a family thing, it kind of reminds me of the Doctor Who episode, it reminds me of the Doctor Who episode Mask of Mandraga, and I'll kind of go into the plot here. Simply, one of the subplots is that a cousin or a uncle of the new prince of a nation called San Martino is trying to gain power, and he's doing this by using a astronomer, or a man who tries to predict the future on the stars, to predict people's death so he can then go and kill them and then wrest power. And in the episode, we have the struggle between the last person in his way, which is the Prince of San Martino. And I feel like that's possibly where this story is going to go, because eventually I would love Octavia to be a bit more of a character. She's had 2 focused episodes on her, and I feel like this one would probably be a great, or maybe like an episode in between this, setting her up with the responsibilities of the future, and then another episode after this where she is going to have to face the wrath of Stella's and her brother's greed and lust for power, where she is now going to have to defend herself, and she's now going to become raveled in the mess that Stolas is also wrapped up in. This is all I wanted to say for this review of just some thoughts on my mind from watching the episode, and maybe Vizzy will see this, maybe some fans will see this and agree with me. I really don't know. I just felt like I had to give some suggestions of how this episode could have been better. Like I said, this episode is not bad. There is no episode in my book that I would say in Helluva Boss that is bad. But it's definitely weak for building up intensity. I mean, a situation where Stolas is being tied down, he can't do anything, and there's a weapon that can actually hurt him. That is something that should be built up in suspense and possibly, okay, he could die here. But I just felt like the situation around it, we knew from the very beginning that he wasn't going to die, because there was no situation set up beforehand that pretty much said, yes, Stolas has the possibility to die in this episode. Like, there was just not enough build up to it. That's just my opinion. This is not scripted. This was completely, I just watched the episode yesterday and I just decided to get up and record this. So, if you agree with kind of what I said in this episode, then comment down below. And Vivzy, if you're seeing this, keep up with what you're making. You are making great content, and I hope you might take some of my suggestions into consideration and continue doing what you're doing, because even episodes like this are still enjoyable to watch. And I just really hope that you continue with the series and being as successful as you are, because you deserve the success that you have. You've worked hard for it, and you've really given something that a fandom can like and enjoy. Other than that, that's all I have to say. Yeah, this was supposed to be a short, but now it's 13 minutes, so I'm wondering if I should do a full-length video. Nah, I'll probably just cheese out on the editing and just post it and say whatever.